Gaza is a state, and it is run by Hamas, and they had one election, which, as Trevor said, the people voted for Hamas. Hamas then killed the opposition, and they've never had an election since. But they could have a state. If they wanted a state, they could have a state.
Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Hope you are feeling good. Wow. Today we are here again with another video from Douglas Murray titled "That's Nonsense." Douglas Murray calmly dismantle Muslim woman on BBC. Wow. I believe this is going to be another interesting one. Let's check it out. Go.
Douglas Murray is at it again. This time, he schools a Muslim Hamas sympathizer on the reality of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Douglas Murray did not hold back. Watch.
Rushanara Ali, what is it that Hamas wants to achieve? I mean, what is it? I mean, Trevor Phillips says that people voted for Hamas as opposed to Fatah, to the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. They voted for Hamas knowing that they would be much more hardline. So what is it that they want?
I hope what Trevor's not saying is that by voting for Hamas, those who voted were in some way are now deserve, or the punishment, collective punishment that is now being espoused.
No, that's an outrageous thing to say.
Let me finish.
That's an outrageous thing.
You know
that's
not
what I'm saying at all.
I very much hope not. But the point is that this cycle of violence is going on and on. The fact is that the Palestinians have lived under occupation, and Gaza
They're not under occupation. They have their own state. Gaza is a state, and it is run by Hamas, and they had one election. Which, as Trevor said, the people voted for Hamas. Hamas then killed the opposition, and they've never had an election since. But they could have a state. If they wanted a state, they could have a state.
Let Rushanara finish her point. You're saying that they are living under occupation.
There seems to be a bit of amnesia here about the history of what's happening in that region, and the fact that Palestinians don't have a state. They have, lived under occupation. They've lived under attack, and what we need is rapidly, in order to secure peace, which is rapidly eluding this region. We need the international community. We need leaders in America and European Union to work together to resume negotiations and to first of all bring an end to this conflict.
Well, the end of the conflict will be fastest brought about by Hamas being thrown out of the West Bank by the Palestinians of the West Bank, or by any other force available. We've got to remember this: the two-state solution, such as it is, and it's a dream, but it's still a possible dream. If you talk about the West Bank,
do the Israelis genuinely believe in that?
Yes, I think they do, with the West Bank. The thing that is a problem, and is an irreconcilable problem at the moment, is what you do with Hamas, which wants to annihilate the Jewish state and does not want peace. That is a problem.
The real problem here is the agenda is now being controlled by people who don't want peace, whether it is the settlers on the West Bank, or it's Hamas. That's the problem. How do we wrest the agenda out of the hands of those groups of people who, by the way, are not states? These are gangs.
Sure, and unfortunately, Gaza is run by a gang.
Let's leave it there. Thank you both very much.
Douglas Murray highlights that Hamas's charter and repeated statements make clear their opposition to the existence of the State of Israel and their refusal to recognize its right to exist. This stance fundamentally obstructs any path toward peace between Israelis and Palestinians. The rhetoric and actions of Hamas have been widely criticized by international figures and organizations that advocate for peace in the region. For instance, figures such as Tony Blair, former British Prime Minister and former Quartet representative to the Middle East, have pointed out that the ideology and actions of Hamas have significantly contributed to the suffering and instability in Gaza and the broader region. Blair and others have argued that peace is unattainable as long as Hamas prioritizes the destruction of Israel over the welfare of the Palestinian people. Furthermore, analysts and experts on Middle Eastern politics have emphasized that Hamas's governance in Gaza has not only perpetuated conflict with Israel, but also led to significant human rights abuses against Palestinians within the territories it controls. Organizations like Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International have documented cases where Hamas has suppressed dissent, restricted the freedoms of Gaza's residents, and used civilian areas for military purposes, thereby endangering its own population.
Wow. What an interesting debate. We can all tell this was really heated to some extent. You can all tell that the conflict between Israel and Gaza, to be specific. Hamas, which has been labeled as a terrorist group, has been going on for some time now. And we can tell that as a result of this, a lot of people have lost their life both in Israel and in Gaza. We can all tell that people tend to blame Israel, that they are playing victim because of the fact that there are more casualty in Gaza, in Palestine, as compared to the casualty in Israel. And I feel it's because of Hamas is not doing enough to to protect the citizen. It's not doing enough to protect the civilian. And from the information I got, I don't know how true this is, that before Israel IDF soldier launch a missile into Gaza, they always inform the civilian to evacuate those areas. And the Hamas has been using the civilians as shield. Instead of Hamas allowing the civilians to evacuate, they rather force the civilians to stay in those locations, so Israel to prevent Israel from releasing the missile, which I believe Hamas is the genesis of all this problem. And I really feel for the citizen of Gaza, though I know it's partly their fault, because after Israel gave up the governance of Gaza in 2005, and according to statistics, about 10,000 Israeli residing in Gaza was forced out of Gaza by the IDF soldier. And believe me, this Israeli, they have houses, they have land, they have all sort of properties in Gaza, but they were forced out of Gaza by the IDF, by Israel IDF soldier. And ever since Israel gave up the governance of Gaza, Hamas was voted into power. When Hamas came into power, they eliminated all the opposition. And we can tell that Gaza has become more poorer, and lives has even become more bearable, more unbearable in Gaza. And right now you can see that there is no electricity in Gaza. There's water shortage, there's food shortage, even the medical supplies is nothing to talk about. And they are getting funds from international community, they are getting aid, but instead of them using those aid to develop develop Gaza, to invest on infrastructure, to invest on social amenities, they are using that aid to build weapons in order to be able to eliminate Gaza. And I believe the fact that a lot of people have lost their life both in Israel and in Gaza, I really wish there could be a two-state solution, just like what the lady is suggesting, that if there could be a two-state solution where the United Nations, America, Europe, and British will come together in order to be able to facilitate a two-state solution between Israel and Gaza, so they can resolve this issue amicably without shedding of more blood. Because I really feel losing your loved ones is something very painful. I feel for those that have lost their loved ones in Gaza. I also feel for those that have lost their loved ones in Israel. And I really wish there could be a way this issue can be resolved amicably. But I know in reality, that is really difficult to achieve. Because as far as Hamas prioritize the destruction of Israel over the welfare of its citizen, I believe it will be very difficult to come into a two-state solution with Hamas. And I believe Hamas is the genesis of all this problem. Instead of you caring for your citizen, instead of you taking care of the welfare of your people, you are rather investing in the destruction of Israel, which I believe is totally unacceptable. And I believe the people of Palestine, the West Bank, they should all come together and force Hamas out of power, because Hamas is the problem. Hamas is a problem. As a result of their actions, a lot of civilians have lost their life in Gaza. I believe if Hamas can be forced out of power politically or otherwise, I believe there will be more peace. There will be more peace. Israel in question, I believe Israel is ready for negotiation, just like they made in 2005 before leaving Gaza. I believe Israel is ready for negotiation. And the major problem that pains me right now is the fact that the Hamas that have been voted into government, they are not only causing pain to Israel, they are also causing pain to the civilian, which is totally unacceptable. Wow. And I really wish there's something that could be done about this. So I would like to hear your comments. Keep the conversation rolling. Don't forget, click on the subscribe button, click on the like button. Do have a nice day. Yeah.